Welcome to Text for Speech News. I am your host Paul.
And I am your co-host Daniel.
Let's get our IGGGGHHHHHT into the news. Sorry XD. The battle between West Virginia teachers and Republicans is about to get ugly. West Virginia public school teachers and the state's Republican legislators are once again on a collision course over charter schools. And things could get ugly. On Monday, the House of Delegates advanced a sweeping education bill out of committee that would introduce charter schools into the state. The last time the GOP floated the introduction of charter schools in the state, in February, West Virginia teachers mobilized and went on strike, eventually stopping the bill in its tracks. This time, however, West Virginia teachers are being hit from a few more directions in a fight that's become about something much larger than pay raises, the future of public education in the state. Earlier this month, state senators passed a proposal that would not only introduce charter schools into the state but also specify that teachers who go on strike are breaking the law. Although teacher strikes are already technically illegal in West Virginia, teachers get away with strikes because of their sheer numbers and broad public support for their cause. But the Senate's proposal seeks to undercut such movements before they begin by adding specific measures to punish teachers. Superintendents, who have previously closed schools in the state in solidarity with teachers, would be barred from shutting down schools over strikes. The bill also includes a provision that allows county boards to fire public educators who participate in labor strikes. The latest House bill, though notably devoid of specific strike-killing language, presents a similar threat, teachers' unions argue, by again pushing to allow charter schools into the state. And although both bills include teacher raises, unions say the raises are a distraction from the broader attacks on public educators. As House members discussed their bill in committee Monday, chants of protesting teachers once again filled the State House's halls, occasionally drowning out legislators' discussion, according to the Associated Press. the House bill could go to floor vote as early as Wednesday. "Yesterday was just more disappointing than ever," said Jenny Craig, a special education teacher at Wheeling Middle School and a member of the West Virginia United Caucus, which is comprised of rank-and-file teachers' union members. "We are worried that we're not going to have the votes we need to defeat this legislation." Craig said that members and leaders of the three unions representing teachers in the state will use every tool they've got to kill the bills. Even at the cost of not starting school in August, she said. Since early 2018, a wave of teacher strikes has erupted throughout the country. The very first one, which started the so-called Red State Revolt, occurred in West Virginia. Teachers are striking for a variety of reasons, such as years of stagnating pay as well poor benefits and crowded classrooms. But their strikes often extend beyond material gains and reflect broader conflicts in the shifting landscape of public education. The current conflict in West Virginia is about two things: the privatization of public education and teachers' right to organize. Public school teachers' unions are generally in opposition to charter schools, which use public money but operate with little public oversight. Advocates of charter schools say they offer more options for kids in a broken school system, while opponents argue that they aren't any more beneficial to kids than underfunded public schools. West Virginia legislators are also considering the introduction of education savings accounts, which set aside taxpayer money so some kids can attend private schools. Public school employees say such measures rob their schools of crucial resources. At public town halls in West Virginia, about 88% of people at the forums, many of them not even teachers, said they opposed charter schools. The strength of teachers' unions, and the life they've breathed back into the broader American labor movement, has captured the attention of some very powerful people. Virtually every 2020 Democrat has made labor solidarity a major campaign issue. Senator Kamala Harris' first big policy proposal, in fact, was all about teacher pay. But not all of that attention is good. President Trump's Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, recently waded into the debate in West Virginia, publicly backing the introduction of charter schools in the state. She said, "West Virginia has an opportunity to improve education for all and put the needs of students first. Looking forward to seeing bold moves to offer robust options like charter schools and ESAs and support great teachers. Let's get it done." President Trump has also inserted himself in the debate, tweeting that one size does not fit all for schools in the state. It's unclear if Trump was indicating that he supported the bills in West Virginia, though the president has repeatedly voiced his support of school choice, a euphemism for charter schools and other uses of public money for private schooling. Paul TextForSpeech News.
Alright, thanks Paul. Trump sends letter to North Korea's Kim Jong-un ahead of Asia trip. A letter was sent by President Trump and correspondence between the two leaders has been ongoing, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said. Kim said the letter is of excellent content, according to the Korean Central News Agency. Additional details about what was in the dispatch were not provided. News of the letter comes as Trump prepares to depart for the G20 summit in Japan next weekend, where he is expected to hold talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The White House confirmed Sunday that President Donald Trump sent a letter to North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. A letter was sent by President Trump and correspondence between the two leaders has been ongoing, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said. North Korean state media first reported that Kim received a personal letter from Trump. Kim said the letter is of excellent content, according to the Korean Central News Agency. Additional details about what was in the dispatch were not provided. Kim Jong-un said that he would seriously contemplate the interesting content, the state news agency reported. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the US and North Korea were in a better place and expressed hope that working-level talks with North Korea can begin. I'm hopeful that this will provide a good foundation for us to begin to continue these important discussions with the North Koreans to denuclearize the peninsula, Pompeo said. News of the letter comes as Trump prepares to depart for the G20 summit in Japan next weekend, where he is expected to hold talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping. China is one of North Korea's few allies. Trump has walked a controversial line in his relationship with Kim, at times expressing affection for the North Korean dictator while at other times threatening Pyongyang if it does not comply with his demands. Last month, the North test-fired missiles, which Trump's national security advisor John Bolton said violated a UN Security Council resolution. But Trump had largely downplayed those tests and expressed confidence that the US and North Korea will reach a deal on its nuclear program. At the time, Trump said he believed Kim would do nothing to interfere with the great economic potential of North Korea. He also knows that I am with him and does not want to break his promise to me. Trump said of Kim. Trump has held two summits with the North Korean leader, first in Singapore and then in Vietnam. The February summit in Vietnam, however, abruptly ended without an agreement when the North demanded an end to sanctions and Trump reportedly passed a note to Kim demanding that he turn over his nukes. In April, the North also said it tested a new tactical guided weapon. The test came less than 2 months after the failed Vietnam summit and was the first public weapons test by the North since the historic Singapore summit. Daniel TextForSpeech News.
Thanks, Daniel. Nine-year-old girl killed in ATV crash in Plant City. A 9-year-old girl was killed when an ATV overturned on Saturday night in Plant City, according to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Vehicle was driven by an 11-year-old girl. The ATV rolled over. 9-year-old was ejected at around 8 p.m. on the 6000 block of Varn Road. An 11-year-old girl was driving a Can-Am Commander, which is similar to a dune buggy with 2 bucket seats, on private property, according to Crystal Clark, the Sheriff's Office Public Affairs Coordinator. The girl had a 9-year-old female passenger in the vehicle when the young driver tried to turn it around and she lost control, with the ATV overturning, Clark stated in a news release. Neither of the girls were wearing a seat belt and the driver was able to climb out from under the ATV, but the passenger was ejected. The Hillsborough County Fire Rescue responded and took the girls to the South Florida Baptist Hospital, where the 9-year-old girl was pronounced dead, stated Clark. The 11-year-old girl suffered minor injuries. Paul TextForSpeech News.
Thanks, Paul. Minecraft is more popular than Fortnite again. Minecraft is more popular than Fortnite again, but has the bubble burst? If there's 2 video games every parent, even those that have zero interest in gaming, have heard of it's Minecraft and Fortnite, with Grand Theft Auto probably in third, even though kids aren't supposed to play it. Fortnite's unparalleled success has been due to just a few obvious factors. It's free, it's constantly updated, and it's actually quite good. Everyone plays it, but particularly cash-strapped kids, at whom most of the marketing and gaudy costumes are aimed at. But what goes up must go down, and at some point Fortnite is inevitably going to see a decline in interest, and that time looks like being roundabout now. The latest Google search data, as noticed by Forbes, shows that interest in Fortnite has been on a steady decline, and Minecraft has seen an unexpected spike, with Minecraft creators Mojang reporting that YouTube views of Minecraft-related videos were up 8% last month. Fortnite's decline is by no means sudden or unexpected, but what is surprising is the rise in interest for Minecraft. It's probably related to the game's 10th anniversary celebrations, which have raised its profile, and the announcement of mobile AR app Minecraft Earth and console-based dungeon crawler Minecraft Dungeons. Although plenty of adults play Fortnite, the audience for Minecraft is more predominantly children, with most tending to grow out of it in their early teens. The uptick though could show that some are no longer embarrassed by their earlier obsession and are now coming back to the game. Something which Minecraft Earth is likely to encourage even more. Daniel, TextForSpeech News.
Thanks Daniel. I remember when I first played Minecraft nearly 10 years ago. Anyways, next news story. Minecraft YouTuber creates playable version of the game inside a single chest. The creativity of the Minecraft community knows no bounds. Not content with the usual 3D version of the game, YouTuber Seth Bling has created his own, playable 2D version set entirely within a Minecraft chest, complete with crafting, jumping, and flowing water. As you can see in the video above, blocks from the game are replicated inside the chest, and you can walk left and right across the world, breaking blocks as you go. You even have a separate inventory, a chest within a chest, where you can store blocks you've mined from the world and craft new tools. What's essentially happening is that a slice of the normal Minecraft world is being rendered inside the chest. When you move the player inside the chest, an armor stand teleports around the world. Breaking blocks in the chest breaks them in the world too. It's all done via a /loot command that figures out what blocks are around the armor stand and then renders the correct, corresponding block into the chest. It's a very limited system, but it's enough to look pretty cool, says Sethling in the video, and I can't help but agree. He says he might expand the system with new crafting recipes and, potentially, even mobs. The system was inspired by this Reddit post, which is basically the same idea but doesn't seem to have any moving parts. If you want to download the world within a chest, you can do so here clicking that link will immediately. Download a zip file. Paul TextForSpeech News.
Thanks, Paul. Roblox's famous Soof death sound allegedly came from a Tommy Tallarico game. The Roblox death sound, a comical and short oof noise, has become famous to the 90 million players who play games in the kids' virtual world. But it turns out that Roblox may not have created the sound at all. Instead, the credit apparently goes to Tommy Tallarico, who said in an email to GamesBeat that he owns the rights to the sound and will be talking to the company about being compensated for its use across many Roblox games over the past 14 years or so. The sound has gone viral, with lots of memes coming from the oof sound. Apparently the Roblox death sound is not actually from Roblox, but from the end of a game called Messiah, 2000. Pic Twitter.com Volv 7 kilotons Boer, at Boer Mantinus, the 2nd of June, 2019. But it comes from the end of a game called Messiah, which came out in 2000. A Twitter user named Boer first pointed out the similarity. And the sound file shows that the 0.34 second sound originated in September 1999 with credit to an engineer named Joey Kuras. Social media posts have exploded with the mini dust-up, and that's how it came to the attention of Tallarico. In an email, Tallarico said in an email that he owns the rights to the sound, as he created it and worked with Kuras to put the sound into the Messiah game. I'm actually dumbfounded that stuff like this is still happening in the game industry in this day and age, Tallarico said. Especially with a multi-billion-dollar company. We are 100% positive, from the metadata on the sound file they have given over 100 million people, that the sound is mined and lifted from Messiah. I have all the contracts that I did directly with Shiny Entertainment, showing I own the material. A spokesperson for Roblox said the company is aware of it and is looking into the details. We'll update the story when they send a comment. Tellarico has been making news as the CEO of Intellivision Entertainment, which is building a new version of the famous retro game console from the 1990s. He was also founder of Video Games Live, the video game music concert series, and he spoke at our recent Games Beat Summer 2019 event. But he is also an extremely prolific game music and sound producer who has worked in the game industry for more than 3 decades. Tellarico said the sound has been heard hundreds of millions of times on YouTube, thanks to the millions of memes created by fans. Tellarico said that Roblox hasn't spoken to him yet. The first time I had heard about it was when fans of Roblox were emailing us saying how great it was to find out who did the iconic sound, as it was such an important part of their childhood. Tellarico said, I guessed they had learned from YouTube and Twitter when it was uncovered that the metadata had the name Joey Kuras on there. Tellarico said Kuras was his sound editor for 15 years throughout the 1990s and into 2000s. Tellarico worked on the Messiah game from Shiny Entertainment. He said that when you download the initial Roblox engine, the sound is under C. User, app data local Roblox version 8 F6438201 FC 84221 content sounds. The file is MP3. As for the consequences, if the facts turn out to be as described, Roblox probably owes Tellarico a lot of money. Just how much is likely up for negotiation? The industry needs to know that they need to be more professional and do a little more due diligence before releasing projects or hiring contractors. Tellarico said, Roblox will be finding out the hard way as we are currently putting together the paperwork to demand compensation. And it won't be cheap for them considering the circumstances. If it was just some small sound that no one ever really paid attention to, it wouldn't be as bad or costly. But the fact that the sound is part of the identity of the entire franchise needs to be factored into the damages. He added, millions of memes, that is free marketing, built around my sound, hundreds of millions of video views built around my sound, songs created with the sound, kids in playgrounds around the world repeating it. It has become a part of modern pop culture, and I had no idea as I never even played the game. And it is something that I own 100% and was stolen and used without my permission for over 13 years. And he said, I don't believe they know about it and I don't believe they did anything maliciously. Although whoever they hired to put the sounds in probably did. Unfortunately for them, it's Roblox who will now be responsible. Daniel, TextForSpeech News.
Thanks, Daniel. Game Dev World pulls off a historic global online game conference in 8 languages. Game Dev World demystified the art of game development just a little bit in the past 3 days, with 24 hours of talks from a diverse group of experts from around the world. The talks were broadcast online with translation in 8 different languages. The event from June 21 to June 23 was the brainchild of Rami Ismail, executive director of Limbeer, Sarah Elmao, voice actress and event organizer, and Miriam Lachapelle, a producer at Game Dev World. The speakers truly came from all around the world: Denmark, Austria, United Kingdom, Canada, the US, Malaysia, England, Singapore, Italy, Pakistan, Japan, China, and other places. "It was both really rough and really good," said Ismail, in an email to GamesBeat. "Since nobody had ever pulled anything like this off, even folks experienced in the field couldn't warn us for everything that could go wrong." He added, "So while there were a ton of things that could be better, we can't be prouder to have delivered a full 24-hour program of game development knowledge from an incredible roster of speakers from all over the world, speaking in their own languages. I personally couldn't be prouder of our team, and I am so grateful to all our supporters and sponsors. If Game Dev World was a video game, I would call it an incredible beta." The talks will be posted later. The sponsors included Google Cloud, Facebook Gaming, Sony, Intel, Devolver Digital, Dauntless, Epic Games, XSPLIT, Brace Yourself Games, Fully Illustrated, Unity, Nvidia and Playdate. I listened to some of the talks and I was particularly impressed with Gabby D'Arinzo, art director of Laundry Bear Games in Toronto and artist for A Mortician's Tale. She talked about getting a case of art block, where she was depressed and couldn't come up with a creative approach to 2 new games. Her first game was very successful, but she felt blocked and said she was making poor decisions for the art on new games. She became frustrated and unmotivated. Art was now a cause of stress. She talked with friends and they referred to this as art block. And this is absolutely something I've dealt with over the years and over my career and in my personal or professional art, D'Arinzo said. And I admit it feels pretty lousy when it happens. But another reason why our blog happens is due to external pressure, feeling like everyone is watching you and that you're letting people down who aren't productive or good enough. As she started pre-production on a new game, she didn't conjure anything spectacular. She remembered the words of a teacher who told her, "Don't try to be different. Just try to be good. You have to trust your own instincts of what is good, and that will lead to good art." She shared her concerns with her coworkers, and her boss suggested she take a month off. Her biggest piece of advice is to not isolate yourself from others, but to share your troubles with them and have them help you. The suggestion of the time off worked, and she recharged herself with a variety of techniques. She overcame the artist's block by trying out new things. She tried to be productive every day by working on art that was unrelated to the game. She did this purely for herself, not for work or others. Darinza would drink a cup of tea and spend 10 minutes each morning by looking at motivating art. She was being inspired by things that were outside of video games, like architecture, film, fashion, photography, and others. She printed the inspiring art and could look at it periodically. She tried new media. She suggested that if you do digital art, then switch to physical art. If you like drawing fantasy, try drawing sci-fi. And she said you should revisit your basics, getting back to the fundamentals of art. She came up with a new approach to art, and her co-workers received it enthusiastically. It was so validating, she said. Paul, TextForSpeech News.
Thank you, Paul. Now for weather.
Hello, I am Catherine, and here is your weather. A line of weakening storms may impact western portions of the tri-state Sunday evening with times of heavy rain and gusty winds. Overnight will be mainly quiet, although a few stray storms cannot be ruled out from continued weakening complexes to the west of the tri-state. Expect muggy conditions under a partly cloudy sky with some patchy fog also possible. Low temperatures fall to the upper 60s. Monday will see a partly cloudy sky with breezy conditions. The day starts mainly dry, but a round of showers and storms will take shape during the afternoon and evening hours and move across the tri-state. Some storms could be strong if not reaching severe levels, with strong, gusty winds and heavy rain the main threats. Temperatures rise to the mid to upper 80s before dropping once the rain arrives. Tuesday will be quieter with sunshine returning in a high in the low 80s. Then, the heat and humidity crank up for the remainder of the work week through Friday as highs near if not reach the 90-degree mark. We'll see a mostly sunny sky each day. Scattered showers and storms return for the weekend. On Saturday, we'll see a high in the upper 80s, while afternoon temperatures stay in the mid-80s on Sunday. And that's your weather. See you next time.
Thanks, Catherine. Now back to news. Oregon Republicans walk out on state Senate over climate change bill as governor threatens police roundup. Republican state senators in Oregon continued to engage in a high-stakes game of brinkmanship over the weekend, with Democratic lawmakers remaining away from the Capitol and threatening a lawsuit over a $500 per day fine from the Senate president. At the center of the debate is a climate change bill. 11 Republican senators fled the legislature and in some cases, the state to thwart the passage of a cap-and-trade proposal that would dramatically lower greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. The minority GOP caucus wants the plan to be sent to voters instead of being instituted by lawmakers, but negotiations with Democrats collapsed, leading to a headline-grabbing walkout. Portland, Oregon. Affiliate Coin TV reported a Sunday morning Senate session promptly adjourned because only 18 members showed up, as 11 Republican senators are still not participating. The Oregon State Senate is made up of 30 senators, 18 Democrats and 11 Republicans. Republican Jackie Winters died last month and has not yet been replaced. Because the Republican walkout has prevented the 20-senator quorum in the Senate, legislation cannot be passed in a legislative session scheduled by law to end on the 30th of June. In a dramatic move on Thursday, Governor Kate Brown authorized the state police to round up and bring back the missing state senators. According to Coin TV, Brown said she will call a special session if Republicans run out the clock. Carol Curry, a spokeswoman for Senate President Peter Courtney, confirmed that each missing senator was hit with a $500 fine Friday morning, which will be renewed each day they continue to delay a vote. She said in an email that they will receive a bill for the amount owed. Republicans immediately pushed back. "We will file legal action," said Senator Tim Knopp, a Republican from Bend who has said he has been in 3 states in the past 3 days. "If they were trying to bring us back, threatening to arrest us and impose fines isn't going to work." Senate Majority Leader Ginny Burdick, a Democrat, said Republicans have no legal recourse as the fine is explicitly written in statute. A GoFundMe to cover the rogue lawmakers' expenses and fines raised nearly $40,000 between Thursday and Sunday. State ethics laws prohibit officials from receiving gifts exceeding $50, so it's unclear whether senators could access the money. State police can force any senators they track down in Oregon into a patrol car to return them to the Capitol, although the agency said in a statement that it would use polite communication and patience to bring the rogue lawmakers back. The state police don't have jurisdiction outside Oregon. But the Oregon State Police confirmed Thursday evening it was working with out-of-state agencies to track down the Republicans. Under the proposed cap-and-trade bill, Oregon would put an overall limit on greenhouse gas emissions and auction off pollution allowances for each ton of carbon industries plan to emit. The legislation would lower that cap over time to encourage businesses to move away from fossil fuels. The state would reduce emissions to 45% below 1990 levels by 2035 and 80% below 1990 levels by 2050. Those opposed to the cap-and-trade plan say it would exacerbate a growing divide between the liberal, urban parts of the state and the rural areas. The plan would increase the cost of fuel, damaging small business, truckers and the logging industry, they say. Democrats say the measure is an efficient way to lower emissions while investing in low-income and rural communities' ability to adapt to climate change. It has the support of environmental groups, farm workers and some trade unions. The walkout also puts other major Democratic priorities on hold, including affordable housing, tobacco taxes and paid family leave. Legislation addressing these topics sailed through the House Thursday, but their fate remains uncertain with the Senate shut down. This is the second time in this legislative session that minority GOP lawmakers have used a walkout as a way to slow the process. Democrats have a rare supermajority in the House and Senate, meaning Republicans don't have many ways to influence the debate. Daniel TextForSpeech News.
Thanks, Daniel. Severe weather dangers to target northern tier of central U.S. by midweek. The threat to lives and property from severe thunderstorms will shift focus from the central and southern plains to the northern tier of the nation's midsection starting around the middle of this week. After severe weather threatens areas from Texas to Indiana to end the weekend, the risk zone will focus on areas from southern Michigan and western Pennsylvania to northern Georgia on Monday. Texas will also face another bout of locally severe and drenching thunderstorms. By the middle of the week, a corridor from eastern Montana through the Dakotas and much of the Midwest can face frequent bouts of violent storms. A northward push in the jet stream will bring about this change in the pattern this week. This will help to shift the stormy weather northward into the northern plains and upper Midwest, while the central Rockies, Central Plains and mid-Mississippi Valley have a drier period, ACC Weather senior meteorologist Jack Boston said. Severe thunderstorms are likely to push through these northern areas, he added. The jet stream's northward bulge will allow plenty of heat and humidity to surge across the central United States to the Canadian border. These are two necessary ingredients for feisty storms to ignite. In this type of pattern, thunderstorm complexes tend to ride along the northern rim of the hot, humid air, which is their fuel source. An organized derecho, or long-lived line of powerful storms that cause extensive wind damage, cannot be ruled out this week, according to Boston. From late Thursday through Friday night, a derecho left a trail of wind damage along an approximate 1,000-mile-long path from near the Nebraska and Kansas border through South Carolina. The timing and coverage of this week's severe storm threats will become more certain in the coming days. At this point, people living or planning to travel along a corridor from Bismarck, North Dakota, to Minneapolis, Des Moines, Iowa, Chicago, Green Bay, Wisconsin, and perhaps as far east as Detroit and Cincinnati, should keep a close eye on the forecast and look for additional updates. Paul TextForSpeech News.
Alright, thanks Paul, I will look out. When will Apple release iOS 13 to the public? Is what everybody is asking. iOS 13 is currently in developer beta and will launch in public beta next month. But what if you're not willing to take the chance on running a beta operating system on your iPhone? Here's when Apple might release iOS 13 in stable form to the public. iOS beta testing starts in June every year and beta testing runs through the beginning of September. Last year with iOS 12, Apple in total released 8 developer betas of iOS 12 before releasing the final Golden Master build in mid-September. For iOS 11 in 2017, Apple also released a total of 8 developer betas before releasing the iOS 11 GM in mid-September. But when were the public stable versions of iOS 12, iOS 11, and iOS 10 released? Well, here is the answer. Monday, the 17th of September. Tuesday, the 19th of September. Tuesday, the 13th of September. So, what about the public stable release of iOS 13? As you can see, Apple generally releases major versions of iOS during the second and third weeks of September, and early in those weeks. That would imply that iOS 13 would be released somewhere between the 9th of September and the 17th of September. A report today from iPhone soft cites an Apple developer source and says that Apple will release iOS 13 to the public on the 16th of September. Whether or not that turns out to be true remains to be seen, but it does adhere to the timeline Apple has followed in previous years. Releasing it during the prior week on the 9th of September would be historically early for Apple, and it's more likely that we'll see the GM release that week. In general, watchOS and tvOS are released on the same day as a new major iOS releases. We expect iPadOS to continue that this year as well. Major new macOS versions are generally released the week following a new iOS version. As for the public beta of iOS 13, Apple has said that we can expect that sometime in July. We will also get public betas of macOS Catalina, iPadOS 13, and tvOS 13, but Apple will not release a public beta of watchOS 6. Here are all of the devices that will support iOS 13 when it's released in September. Daniel TextForSpeech.
Thanks, Daniel. And thank you for watching another edition of Text for Speech News. We hope to see you soon. Bye everybody.
Bye.